want to talk about three problems, three roadblocks that prevent us from finding rest, and how God's Word actually provides an answer for each of those. Here's problem number one. We seek value and affirmation in what we do. Think how you answer this question. What are you going to be when you grow up? You've probably been asked that once or twice. Every single time you see someone over the age of 50. Right? Well, what are you going to be when you grow up? And notice how we all answer that question. We answer it with something we're going to do. We do this with college majors all the time. I'm going to go study nursing so I can go be a nurse. I'm going to study teaching so I can go be a teacher. I'm going to major in English so I can be English, right? You guys know English majors. Hello, governor. Like, that's how it works. I'm going to go figure out what I'm going to do, and that's going to tell me who I am. And here's the problem. We are sending our young people off to college to find out who they are. And the world has all sorts of answers for that, and I don't like any of them. In this system, where we figure out who I am is based on what I do. It's based on what I can achieve. It's based on if other people notice me. It's centered in how I'm appreciated or unappreciated by the people around me. That this is the system that the world sets up. And here's the problem. Let's say you do it all right in the eyes of the world in your high school years. You have the best resume. You're in all the things. You have great grades. You have great references. Everything does great. You're the president of this club, and you have all these accolades and all that stuff. And colleges are wanting you to join their team. What happens when you get there? Here's this crazy thing. The people that are at that college, they don't know how awesome you were in high school. And perhaps more shocking, they don't care. And so what do you have to do? You have to restart. You have to reset. You have to earn your value, your identity, your meaning again and again. And not just in college, then you graduate, you go into the workforce, and you got to start all over. You get a different job, you got to start all over. You become a parent, and you have to figure that out. Then eventually, if that becomes your identity, the kids leave. Lord willing. Right? The kids leave, and now you got to start over, and then you retire. And you have, if this system in the world where what you do equals who you are, we spend our lives at these crossroads, looking at each option, desperately trying to figure, well, I have to do this. I have to do this. I can't stop. I have to say yes. I have to do all this, because if I don't, who am I? And it is exhausting. And it is a race that never ends. That is never actually satisfying. If you are making the decisions in your life based on, well, if I'm noticed, if I'm good, if I succeed, if this goes well, man, then that'll let me know my life is good. You're going to get burnt out at every single corner and not know what to do. You won't rest because you think that you can't. Because if I'm not producing, if I'm not doing, if I'm not achieving, then I'm no one. And instead of looking at the road, instead we're called to look the cross. Because the cross tells you who you are. It's the central foundation to God's gift of rest, that you can rest because of who you are. That who you are isn't tied to what you're doing that day. You can take a day off. You can take time off because it doesn't all rest on your shoulders. That's the gift God gives to you. Here's your identity. that you are limited. It's who you are. You are limited. How many hours do you get in a day? 24. 25 every once in a while when we do some goofy math in the calendar. 24 hours. How many places can you be in at one time? One. Sometimes 0 if you're not paying attention. Right? There's a finite amount of energy that you have. People go, no, there's coffee and energy drinks, whatever. There's still a finite amount of energy that you can have or consume, and eventually your body says, no, we're done. There's only so many things you can be good at. There's only so many things you can be a part of. There's only so many relationships you can pour into at one time. We are, by our very nature as creatures of God, we are limited. And we normally hear that as bad news. Who are you to tell me what I can't do? I don't want limits. I can do whatever I want. I can be anything, anyone that I want. I can keep going. It's like Adam and Eve in the garden. They had everything that they could have possibly needed given to them by God themselves. And yet, the serpent comes and says, you can be like God. AKA, you don't need those limits. You don't need to just be creatures. You could be God. We've been buying into that lie ever since. I don't need limits. I can push past that. I can do whatever it is that I want. And God, who are you to say I can't do that, or I shouldn't do that, or all these options that are in front of me, and I just have to pick one. We try to press outside the limits, and every time it gets us into trouble. You are limited. But that's not bad news. Here's why. This is Genesis 1:27. So God created man in his image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. This is Genesis chapter 1. Adam and Eve are created perfect. And they have limits. The very next thing that God does is he looks at this and he says, this is very good. God thinks you having limits is a good thing, is a gift. And right after that, the beginning of Genesis 2, what does he do? God rests. Why? Not because he was tired. God rested because he knew Adam and Eve needed to rest. Because he knew you need to rest. It's wired into the very fabric of creation. We are created with limits, and that means we are created to rest. And this is good news. That you can rest because it's not all on your shoulders. You can take time off because someone else is in charge. That when I stop doing something, I stop achieving, I stop earning, I stop contributing, that doesn't change who you are. See, here, when we look at the cross, we see who we are. You are limited, but with limitless value. Just like Adam and Eve, created in the image of God. When we look at the cross, we see who you are. That Jesus died for you. That he brought you into his very family in the waters of baptism. That you matter. That's who you are. Not because of what you can do or will do for God. No, you matter because of who you are to him. Regardless of what you've done that day. Regardless of what you will do in the future. And that gives us rest. And realize I don't have to keep going in order to be someone. And we can hear this, and we can press back against this. And go, yeah, well, that doesn't really apply to me. I was speaking at Lutheran High School a couple years ago about similar things like this, identity and value. And I found out afterwards, there was a young lady that was left the talk at the end and was in the bathroom crying. And so I asked the teacher, was it because of something I said? And the answer was yes. Bummer, I wonder what I did. And she said, no, here's what she was saying as she was crying. He's wrong. He doesn't know me. I'm not valuable. And that's what she was saying over and over again. Because we've become so convinced that our value is based on what we do, what has been done to us, what other people have said, that we won't listen when other people try to tell us otherwise. We go, no, I haven't earned that yet. And I told the teacher, she's right about one thing. I don't know her. But I don't have to know her value, because I know her God. And her God is the one who in the beginning said, let there be light. And there was light. Her God is the one who said, Lazarus, come out, and the dead was raised. Her God on the cross said, it is finished, and all her sins were forgiven. Her God in the waters of baptism reached down to her and said, you are mine. Placed his very name on her. I don't need to know her to know that she matters, because I know her God. It's the same for you. That your value, your identity, comes not from what you do, comes from what God has done for you. And I know that there's some of you that are in here that have been walking around your whole life with a chip on your shoulder. There's some voice in your life that you're trying to prove wrong. Maybe it's a parent that said you'll never amount to anything. Maybe it's someone that you swear, I'm not going to end up like them. It's a coach that says you'll never make it. Maybe it's your own voice that every day says if people really knew you, they'd all leave. And you're walking around with this chip on your shoulder, and so at every crossroads you're at, you're trying to pick the option that's going to maybe silence that voice for just a second. To say, no, I am something because look at what I did. Look at what this person said. Look at all these things that I have done. You don't have to prove that voice wrong. God already has. God has said to you, you matter. That your value comes not from what you do, but what Christ has done for you. And that means you can rest. You can rest knowing that even when I'm not doing anything, I'm still valuable. I'm still loved. I'm still chosen. That's who you are. And my prayer is that this then changes how you answer the question, what are you going to be when you grow up? It's not, I'm going to be a nurse or a teacher or English. What am I going to be? I'm going to be a child of God. Here's your answer. You are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession. That you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. What are you going to be? I'm going to be chosen. I'm going to be loved. I'm going to be forgiven. What are you going to do? What job are you going to take? What college are you going to go to? I don't know. I'm still figuring that out. All right, chances are it'll probably change down the road anyway. But as I look at those roads, I know who I'm going to be, because I'm not looking at the roads, I'm looking at the cross. The cross tells me who I am. And so I can be a child of God at this college or that college, and I'll just pick one and serve faithfully. I can be in this relationship or that relationship. I can do this activity or none at all. And all the while I can know who I am. Because it doesn't come from anything that happens on that road. It comes from what has happened on the road to Calvary for you through Jesus Christ. That's who you are. And it frees you up to say no to some of the roads that are in front of you in life.